Welcome back to CNN's State of the Union post-game. I'm Jake Tapper on a very snowy Washington, D.C. evening. The president had plenty of lines tonight that brought his fellow Democrats to their feet, but supporting the president can be trickier for those Democrats who are facing re-election in red or purple states. There are no fewer than 4 Democratic senators running to keep their seats in states that are often thought of as Republican. I'm joined by one of them right now. Imagine that, Alaska Senator Mark Begich. He's a Democrat, though when you Google him, his official website says, as independent as Alaska. We're also joined by Chief Congressional Correspondent Dana Bash. So, Senator, thank you so much for joining us. When the president...
First, can I say something? We have snow here in Alaska.
Yeah.
We don't have snow. It's 38 degrees.
Is that right?
It's warmer there than here.
It's balmy.
So I feel at home right now.
Well, we're glad we could make you feel at home. We'll get some dogs and have a little Iditarod later.
There we go.
When President Obama says that he is going to go it alone on some issues, and he talks about executive order.
Yes.
How does that play in Alaska? How does that play for you as somebody who talks about trying to bridge the gap between the parties?
Well, I think, and I've talked about this already and in the past, and I think you have to be very careful how far you extend those executive powers, because I understand his desire to get things done and the frustration with Congress, but look at the last 2 months. A budget bill, an appropriation bill. Actually, if I asked the press about the appropriation bill, they probably said, it's not going to pass. We passed a defense authorization. We're about to do a farm bill. I would encourage the president to work with us, not just have a slew of executive orders, because I think that's going to upset the balance and also create a lot of controversy, not just from Republicans, but some of us that are much more moderate and view this careful balance, that we have a role here. So I'll be anxious to see what these executive orders are, but if they go too far, you'll clearly hear pushback from me. There's no question about it.
And on that, your colleague Joe Manchin told reporters just a little while ago that on the issue of executive orders, yeah, it rubs a lot of people wrong. That rubs, I got to be honest, me too. Does it rub you the wrong way?
It does, because, you know, I was a former mayor, so I had a lot of executive power, but I also served on the city assembly for 10 years, so I understand this careful balance. And I get his frustration, but that also means you got to come down and work with us. And I will tell you, for example, I saw some issues there. I heard it over and over again for the last 5 years on oil gas tax incentives. He wants to deal with that again, eliminate them. From Alaska, we're not interested in that. That's been played for the last 5 years. Let's figure out, if he wants to work on an energy package, let's figure out where those common ground is and let's move forward. But I think the executive order issues can rub a lot of us the wrong way. And I know some people think it's just the Republicans, but I would tell you, Joe Manchin, myself, and some others are concerned about how far that will go.
So not helpful in Alaska for you? Not helpful?
Not helpful, I think, for the public, in the sense of Alaskans or general public, that we want to get, and I think if you ask anybody in the public, they want to get things done. But they also want us to do it together. If we're just going out and doing our own game plan, then I think people are very concerned. Alaska, definitely.
Senator, Dana interviewed the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and talked to him about the prospect of Democrats who are up for re-election who are not in solidly blue Democratic areas maybe feeling uncomfortable about running with President Obama, physically with him. Let's run some of that interview if we have it.
Barack Obama is personally a very popular guy. And people love this man. They love his family.
So you would encourage some of your most vulnerable Senate Democratic candidates to invite President Obama to appear with them?
Yes, and they will.
I'm going to Wisconsin. I'll be interviewing President Obama there on Thursday in an interview that's going to air Friday on CNN. I believe that the Democratic candidate who is running against the incumbent Republican governor, Scott Walker, I believe she is not going to be appearing with President Obama in Wisconsin. That also happened when President Obama went to North Carolina, and your colleague, Senator Hagan, did not appear with him. If if President Obama wanted to go to Alaska to campaign with you, would you want him?
Well, first I'll tell you, when I ran and won was the same year he ran for his first election for the presidency. He lost Alaska by 22 points. I still won my election. If he wants to come up, I'm not really interested in campaigning. What I'd like him to do is see why his policies are wrong. For example, he opposes oil and gas development. I'd like to show him why it's the right move to move that forward, create jobs in oil and gas. He talked about energy a little bit tonight. Well, we have it right there, a storehouse of energy. I'd like to be able to show him some of the issues that we've battled with the federal government on and try to get his policies changed that directly affect us. You know, we're down in southeast Alaska. We have huge capacity for timber, but we run into problem after problem with his administration trying to get just simple permits to move forward. So if he wants to come up there and learn about Alaska, bring it on. I'll drag him around. I'll show him whatever he wants to see, but I want to convince him and show him that some of his policies are not the right direction. So I don't need him campaigning for me. I need him to change some of his policies.
That's not a very traditional campaign appearance.
There's as much distance between you and the president now as between here and Alaska. Just want to say after that answer.
Well, you know, we've had our differences, as you know, on oil and gas and Arctic oil exploration. We've had some tug of war. We've had to really push him a long ways to get him to agree to move forward on what we think is an incredible oil and gas discovery opportunity, thousands of jobs, not only for Alaska, but we battle all the time. I'd love to take him to Fairbanks and show him why the EPA is wrong in regards to air quality when we have no other alternative for fuel sources.
Senator, is Obamacare going to hurt you?
You know, actually, I have to say, when he mentioned tonight that he's challenging people for ideas, well, great. I've laid out a lot of fix-it ideas. I know he looked at the Republicans, but I've talked about a catastrophic plus plan, a copper plan to lower
a lot
premiums.
of Democrats are proposing fixes.
Right.
A lot of
I would
people
love
like you.
Yeah, I love it in embraces. I put one a year ago almost now on the business issues that we saw coming way before where we are today. So as he made that challenge, I want him to embrace some of my ideas because I think they will solve some of the problems. So will the health care issue, you know, people will use it against me. They will do that. Somehow everyone's the 60th vote in this whole world.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what I hear from Alaskans is, let's fix what's broken. We've proposed time after time ideas, and we're going to continue to push those. So when he made that comment tonight, I know he kind of looked toward the Republicans, but there's a group of us moderates that are saying, hey, we have some ideas, yeah.
And Senator Reid told me today that he is open to ideas from people like you. Yep. He called them 2014ers. Yeah. You're one of them. Well, to make some constructive changes to Obamacare. What do you think you're going to actually be able to vote on?
Well, I'll tell you, like this idea of the copper plan, which I think is basically a lower cost premium, more out-of-pocket expensive people want it, but it lowers the cost. Something I've heard from Alaskans all across my state. Or the business end, where the tax credits that we currently are offering are not enough. As a small business person, I remember having this debate and saying, this is not going to work. You need to raise the cap. You need to add more credit capacity, and you'll have more small businesses taking it. I think these are very constructive ideas. We suggested extending out the employer mandate for 2 years, not 1 year, to give more time. The SHOP Act isn't even operating right now, so you can't even get the 50% tax credits. So you bet I'll be offering, and I have for the last year and a half, ideas.
All right, Senator Mark Begich of Alaska, thank you so much. We appreciate your taking the time.